So what are we talking about today?
I don't know. You tell
me. We are diving into a controversial but necessary conversation about colorism and also defining Blackness, and what makes someone Black and what doesn't. So yeah, that's what's on the agenda. We're just going to lay it all out on the table today.
Right out. So if you're not ready for a little bit of challenge, you might want to go somewhere else right now.
Yeah. And of course, like, these are our perspectives and opinions on this necessary conversation. But I think oftentimes when we talk about race, colorism, or like social issues, we're very surface and we don't really dig deep all the time and say everything that needs to be said. And so we welcome conversation respectfully, dialogue, commentary, drop them below. We welcome it. This is an ongoing discussion for healing.
And I will also say a lot of people, they aren't educated, so they don't really know what the terms mean. They just go based off what they learn from their family or what they see around them or what people tell them. So
yep.
With the basics, what is race? What is ethnicity?
Oh, please. Can I define?
Yeah, please do, Maya. Please.
This is my biggest issue with people. So we're gonna talk about race, ethnicity, and nationality. Nationality is the country for which you're a citizen of. I'm American. If you're an American citizen, you are American. That is your nationality. Ethnicity is where is your family ancestry? So, does your family come from the islands? Does your family come from Puerto Rico? Does your family come from Mexico? Does your family, ethnicity is like Latino, Hispanic, like things like that. Does your family come from Brazil? Stuff like that. Race is Black and white and Asian. Are they still using Asian? I want to make sure I'm like, what is like being used on the paperwork. Okay. That could be controversial too. Pacific Islander. I'm trying to think of all the check boxes for race. Native American or indigenous is race. So that's the difference. So like for me, I'm American as citizenship. My ethnicity and my ethnic background would be Caribbean and Latinx, and my race is Black. There we go.
Thank you, teacher.
Different. Some people like,
you get more simple than that. Like, I feel like that's a perfect breakdown.
Yeah.
What you mix with? Black and Black. Black, but your family speaks Spanish. They Black.
They Black.
They got an accent and have a different language.
Oh gosh.
Oh, your family has an accent. They Black. They were slaves too.
Okay.
Not them, but whoever came before them.
Right. I think I think it's cool to have the breakdown like that because when I was in high school, I have an Indian friend. Y'all know my Indian friend. And she would always say that she's Asian, and I never understood that. This is in high school, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Like I said, there's people out there that don't know. So when she told me that, I was just so confused, and I didn't understand. But now I understand,
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of us all being from New York as well. Originally, fun fact that people didn't know that, is our origins started with a pretty diverse group of people, in my opinion, all three of us. So I was surrounded by Jewish, Indian, Pakistan, like I was surrounded by the United Nations practically.
Everybody.
So when you are surrounded by that, you have a different understanding of like race and ethnicity, usually, not saying everybody, but like in comparison to when I moved further down south and went to school further down south, their understanding of race and ethnicity and phenotype was like completely different.
Yeah, especially like you said, growing up in New York. Like when I went away to school, when I went to Virginia Wesleyan, that was like my first time seeing that much white people in one place at one time, and I was like it was different. And even now moving to Florida, like because of course I went back to New York. And went back into my diverse way of living. And then when I came down here, I was like, oh yeah, I have to like remember like where I'm at, and that it's just there's not a lot of diversity in culture. I mean, of course, I found it, but
right,
it's not screaming at you as soon as you walk in the room.
Exactly, and that's the difference too. Like New York versus further down south and maybe other places, it's a lot of those places, it's just two categories, black and white. And even in the black community, it's just dark skin and light skin. Like there's no in between. But like even in New York, if someone's white, phenotype wise, which I'll get into the definition of what a phenotype is, but they're not saying we're white. They're like, we're Italian, we're Polish. We're like, there's a sense of pride in where your family comes from. And that's where the ethnic part comes in. Somebody's like, I'm from Israel, I'm from Turkey. They don't just say I'm white or black. It's not just that for them. So yeah, that's another difference I noticed.
Even being in New York, like it's promoted. Like you have Little Italy, you have little this place, like Spanish Town, Chinatown. Like you have all these breakdowns of places that is like, that's not just 22nd Street, like that's Chinatown. So
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and here, like here in Florida, it's a little further down south. Like you have little Haiti and little Cuba and little places like whatever other little places are like that. But overall, not so much.
Yeah. And so I think that's why, getting into like defining Blackness, I think that's why I found it so hard for some Black people I've come across on social media or even in real life, like not real life, but in person, where they can't understand how someone can be Puerto Rican, be Black, or somebody can be from, have Caribbean ancestry and be Black. And I've seen that a lot with, can we edit that out? I've seen that a lot with our new Vice President, Kamala Harris. She has been titled the first woman and African American and South Asian Vice President. That's a lot, but that's amazing and it's beautiful. And I saw on social media immediately after, with not everybody, but some people, and it really kind of disturbed me, this like challenging of her Blackness. Like somebody said like, oh, it's so nice to see, like, this is a win for people of color because, she was sworn in by Sonia Sotomayor. I think I said her last name correctly.
Yep.
That's a mouthful. I normally say it like this off camera, like Sotomayor. Yeah. So, people were saying like, oh, it's just beautiful people of color. And then somebody was like, where is the of color? She don't look like me. And, it was like all of this, like, she's not really Black. And that really disturbed me.
Obama too. It was the same thing for Obama.
Yeah.
He looked more Black, but then you see his parents, it's like
exactly. And that's the difference. It's like people will look Black, but then as soon as you tell somebody like, oh, my family comes from this, or they look like this, that's when people all of a sudden start saying you're not Black or you don't look Black. That's when they start challenging your Blackness, even if you look Black.
How are you gonna tell me what I am?
Hello?
Okay. And that really bothered me for a number of reasons, because one, well, let's say, I feel like, at the end of the day, because someone's like, oh, and then I saw a think piece, an opinion piece come out too that somebody wrote about like, let's talk about, women in politics and how they tend to be like light skinned or look a certain way. And I was like, this is the first person of color we've even had in this position. How can we say, you know what I mean? Like, how can we even challenge that it is discrimination?
I feel like this, I know we have a path we're going on. This is just like a side note, but it's just so funny to me that this conversation even exists. Like, I understand from slavery and Jim Crow, like there's still things that Black people are healing from, but the fact that like, why is it a thing? Like, it's only a thing in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't hear like, if you see a white person, like you said, like there's a certain pride in certain places, like I'm Polish, I'm Italian, I'm Albanian, I'm this, I'm that. But it's never like, oh no, you don't see like the Albanians fighting over the half Italian person. Like, it's just so crazy. And then for people to like say that think piece that you said, like, oh, let's talk about it. What are we talking about? People cannot choose what they are. They are what this is how it came out. Like,
yeah, like, why can't we just talk about the win? Like,
yeah, like why does it, of course, everything, of course, with social media, giving everybody a platform to say what's on their mind, it just, that's what it's gonna come with. But this is like, even this goes like way back, like from the start of Facebook. Like from the start of Facebook, we've had like colorism and things of like, let's fight over like who's more black, who's this. You remember the fight about with Love and Hip Hop about like his like Hispanic Mara Negra, like is she black, is she this, who can say the N-word, who can't, because you're not the, and I'm just like I felt like the rules were simple, but I guess not.
And it's like, not to say that colorism doesn't exist. I absolutely do believe, and I absolutely do know and believe that we have a dark history within our own community, which stemmed from slavery and Jim Crow, where, you know, people of a darker hue are treated differently or did have different opportunities. I mean, we're not going to ignore that that's an issue that needs to be addressed. But I also feel like this goes deeper than that. And I feel like, you know, for example, if someone who is of a darker hue than me were to win something or be elevated on a platform, she's black. That's a win for me too. Like, I look at it as you a part of my community, even if she was African or even if she was Haitian, you know, just because she don't look exactly how I look or come from the ethnic background I come from, a win is a win. And you're black and you're coming from our community. And both of us back in the day would have been slaves. So when I look at you, I may not exactly see you when I see color, but I see you. Yeah. I see me in you. I see a representation of me. I see that it's possible because you broke down this door that as a black woman, I can too.
Right.
So that's what
gonna hit it with the snaps. That's what I see, because like you said, at some point we would have been on the same boat, maybe on a different floor. Okay, like we would have still been enslaved. So yeah,
it's been white, like down the line, white, sprinkle a little black, white, like.
Exactly. And let's not forget, like, Kamala Harris is only like the second woman to ever be a senator. So there wasn't even any really like a lot of people in that position that she started in before she became vice president either. And so I just feel like this challenging of her blackness, like her father's Jamaican, her mother is Indian. Jamaicans are black. Okay, let's reiterate this. Trinidadian people are black. It's a slave ship that went to a different stop. Now, going back to phenotype. So phenotype is how you look, how one looks. So you know, what your melanin or your skin complexion looks like, what do your features look like? And a lot of times we do tend to judge people based off of what they look like versus what they are. So yes, in certain countries, you do kind of see a lot of variations, especially this is really big in like the Latino community, is you see a lot of variations of like what people's features look like. Right. But then that's when we talk about like, okay, slavery had us going to different stops. But then when you have migrations, you just get all types of different looks and people and phenotypes. And so yes, colors change and vary from country to country, but it still doesn't change the fact that when you go back to your lineage, it all is connected to the same. We all came from Africa as slaves and branched off and created different populations of people. So I just don't understand the challenging of her blackness just because her mother is Indian and she has another half of her that isn't black. Right. She's still black. Yes, she's also Indian, right? But she's still a black woman. Like, what's there to? If we were to be slaves, where would Kamala be?
Right.
That's how I think of it.
Yep. Exactly.
They don't care that she's Indian.
They don't. They sure don't.
She's a black woman. When I look at her, yes, I can see that she has some type of different background mixed into her. But when I look at her, I see a black woman. I don't know what y'all see, but I see a black woman. Do y'all not see a black woman?
I do.
Black woman, minority, like
she checks all the boxes.
She's not white.
Right. Exactly. Like she checks all the boxes, and her being like, you know, the first of these many things, like you said, it's a lot. Like we have her being half black, have this, have that, woman first here, there, like it spans across, and it's inspiring for all of the boxes that it checks. I just don't see why it has, like you said, why it has to be a challenge. Like, why can't we just be like, okay, that's what's up, instead of like, but really? And then the people the people who question it, like, who are you?
Exactly.
Who are you is the question. Like,
who do you define what blackness is?
Okay.
We range in language, we range in skin tone, we range in hair texture.
Yeah, I was just about to say we got afros, we got straight hair, we got braids. What you want?
We got all of that. And that's what pisses me off the most is a lot of times we challenge Blackness by the way people look. And I don't like that because that's what I think is the most beautiful about Black people is the fact that we range. I think our race has the most range, period. And so we should be embracing that range instead of like determining who gets to be Black and how Black by that range. I don't like that we do that. Yeah. It bothers me.
We do it. I mean, even when we do it, and this is more so like where the colorism parts comes in, because even things like having a relaxer. I mean, back in the day, like again, me, you know, you see my hair is standing up, but you would have told me this some years ago. I'd have been like, "Excuse me, you're on YouTube with an afro? Are you crazy?" Now I'm like, look at me. Okay, I even got her on my shirt. Okay, like afros everywhere, but. You know, if your hair is straight, then you can't be this. You don't love yourself. You're not this. You're not that. Like
natural to straighten your hair. That's what they say too.
Oh my God! Like, do y'all want to know what it looked like if I just rolled out of bed and didn't do nothing to my hair? I'm mad. Okay, like you still have to do something, but it's just there's just so many things. Like, and again, instead of embracing the range of like, oh, my hair can grow up or it can be down, or my hair can be dreaded or locked or whatever the case, like why does it have to be a fight? Like, and again, I feel like this is the only race that like that's under a microscope, like from everybody else. We ourselves are you know, we scrutinize ourselves enough, and then for outside people who sometimes are not even Black to come in and define and say like, what is this? Who are you? Where are you from? Okay, not if you look like this, not if you look like that. Like, who makes the rules? Like, who's in charge? Like, who is to say this isn't this or this isn't that? Like,
exactly. So and what's funny about the, like, you know, when we talk about Black History Month, which is coming up, and we like are elevating civil rights activists and heroes, when you look at their biography, a lot of them have ancestry linked to the Caribbean or other places. They were either born there, you'll see like Bajan born, Jamaican born, or that parents were born there. Like a lot of our civil rights heroes are either first generation or second generation Americans. Like, and so it's like it's kind of weird that we're challenging people's Blackness based off of where their parents are from, you know, and us not considering that to be Black. And this is what I realize with people who don't consider certain people Black. A lot of times it's because they haven't been exposed to that diversity of Blackness. And that's okay. But what's not okay is when you're not willing to expand your mind and realize like, my definition of Black is this way because that's all I know. That's all I've been taught. But now I have the opportunity to have a window to what Blackness looks like in range. Like, oh my gosh, we're just amazing. And when for you not to take the opportunity, I saw somebody on social media saying like, if your mother isn't Black, you're not Black.
Oh, I've seen that. I've heard that growing up. Like it has to be. I've heard that
your mother.
I heard that it had to be the father. I've heard that if your dad wasn't Black, you're not Black. Like I'm like, what? It's still half of me. It's still half of like. What are you saying?
Black is Black. Like.
And I feel like now, like, and it's so funny, and I'm sure like all of us girls here have had like our insecurities growing up because of all these things. Like your hair is this, this is that. Like just being like, I absolutely love being a Black girl. Like it is like and I didn't just have this realization. I had it a couple of years ago, but just being like, yes, I'm Black. Yes, my hair. What you want? What hair color you want today? What hairstyle? What makeup look? Like what would you like today? You know, and just to have that and be able to and still embrace my afro. Like at the end of the day, you know. So like just growing up, sometimes it wasn't always like it really wasn't something that I was taught because. I don't know, maybe for my family being West Indian, like, because they're all Black there, it's not something that we really have to talk about. Like, okay, you have certain other ethnicities and stuff, but it's really not a big deal. Here in America, it is. Everything's a big deal here. but it's just like growing up versus now. Like I remember I had a on social media, of course, there was a thread, like Black girls showing their like just diversity with their hair and stuff. And I had commented, I think I had sent it to y'all in the group chat with, and Imani was saying like the guy was baiting the girls. Like, well, I mean, he got me because I was going in, but I said something like, imagine not being a Black girl. And like I got like 100 comments. Everybody's like, no, sis, I could never, like I could just never, whatever. And a bunch of likes, and here he come. Well, why would you make someone else feel inferior? I said, where did I make somebody else feel inferior? I said, if the shoe fits, like I didn't say, I love that I'm not white. I said, imagine not. And I can't imagine because that's all I know. That's all I know is the struggles of maybe thinking I was ugly at one time, thinking that, wishing my skin was lighter, wishing my hair was longer, wishing whatever. And now to embrace that, oh, you can't tell me nothing. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's definitely about embracing who you are, because growing up, like you said, with the hair, I had so much hair and people used to make fun about it, bully me about it. But meanwhile, I'm like, I got this big afro, like I'm chilling, I'm good. But at the same time, that can also make you feel bad. Like as a kid, somebody calling you Afro Thunder, like pointing and laughing at you, but you don't know. Like it's something that you have to learn and embrace. And that's just like colorism as well. As I started getting exposed to more white people, they would say, oh, you're beautiful for a Black girl. Like, what does that mean?
Before.
What does that mean? If I was dark skinned, if I was white skinned, I would still be beautiful. Like, why do people have to talk like that? I don't understand.
That's what bothers me within our community, like bringing it back to our community. It just, there's so much like dark skin versus light skin. Like I saw somebody the other day on social media say, let me break up my boyfriend now so we don't produce any light skin babies. And I'm just like, it bothered me because here we are like trying to address the issue of colorism as it pertains to those who are on the darker hue of our melanated group. And then I see stuff like this, or like I've had this conversation before with some of my friends where like the need for us to say like, oh, I only like dark skinned people, I only like light skinned people. You can totally cheer somebody on, and you can totally elevate like, he's a nice chocolate, like, oh, I love, oh, he's a nice whatever, he's a nice mocha. But I think that is really weird when we're sitting in a room with people of different skin tones to say like, I only like light skinned people, I only like dark skinned people. Keep your preference to yourself. Personally, that's how I feel, because there's no need to make other people in the room feel inferior. To be honest, I think it's a little weird that we like people based off of a skin tone. Mm-hmm. I think that Black is Black, and while different Black tones are beautiful and they should each be embraced individually, I think that that's something that we were kind of taught. We were taught to like people based off of skin complexion. Even for the longest, we were taught to like people who were light skinned.
Yeah.
That was what was taught. And we realized I was wrong. And so we're trying to undo that. But I felt like I see things that sometimes also brings us back in a reverse way that I don't like. Like, let's address the issue without being the issue. And that's my biggest problem with us in our community, is it's too much like, oh, she's just this or he's just that. And I saw somebody post on Twitter one time, like, what y'all do to to dark skinned women is what's being done to light skinned men. So I guess dark skinned women tend to be pictured as like really strong or aggressive, or like other words and adjectives that tend to be used with them. And with light skinned men, words are like, oh, you acting light skinned, you acting, like a punk, like weak, like soft. And like, yeah, we laugh and we get used to saying like, oh, he acting light skinned. But when we really think about it, that's kind of toxic. That's really toxic.
It's toxic, especially because again, people can't help how they're born. You can't help that. Like, I feel like as far as the preference, like situation, yeah, for real, the keeping your preference to yourself, yeah. That's I feel like that's a thing that we should all embrace, because yeah, we do have and when you say preference, when I say preference, I mean as far as like who I'm attracted to. Sometimes you're just not attracted, and that's fine. But again, it's a difference between me saying imagine not being a Black girl and I only like dark-skinned men or light-skinned men or whatever. Like there's a difference, and making the other feel less than because you don't like it. And again, the question, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Like, who made you race master? Like when?
Color master, like
color master, like ethnicity master. Like, who is you? Like,
it's toxic, and I try to be more intentional. Like, you know, I think we need to like normalize unlearning and being okay with that. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people have been in places where they've become accustomed to like inappropriate language, and I'm like, now that I'm being more intentional, when I start being more intentional about colorism as it pertains to people who are darker than me, and making sure that, you know, I don't censor myself in their issues. Like, be an ally in the fight without censoring yourself. Like, they have a rightful fight and platform that needs to be elevated. We do need to see more representation of darker hue beauties on TV and in magazines. We do need more makeup variations for darker hue beauties. Like, let's not act like those aren't things that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
But we also need to be careful about not trying to make other people feel inferior when we're elevating our issues. That's my biggest thing. Yeah. And making jokes like, you know, light-skinned niggas ain't in no more, excuse me, or light-skinned men ain't in no more, or whatever the jokes we make, I have to like take a reflective and be like, well, let's be reflective about that. Like, while we're being intentional about the words we're using towards darker beauties, let's be intentional about how we're talking about Black people, period.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. There is like we said, there's I don't want to say a science, because not everything is not a thing, but I definitely, when I was in grad school, all of my research projects had to do with race. They had to do with race and social media, or race and like something. And this was back in what, 2014, 15. So it's not that far off. But the things that I was like, the research projects I was doing now are real now. Like, I did a project on colorism and how it's exacerbated by social media. And it was at the time, it was a research proposal. So I was like in school, I was really like hell bent on doing stuff that wasn't out there yet, because of course you get points for being innovative. But I remember presenting that. The resources I used were dark girls and light girls. It was on OWN at the time. The documentaries about colorism and women, you know, different experiences they've had growing up, and like real Facebook research studies about how people, you know, like the syndromes where you're seeing people like suicide rates being for social media, because I'm seeing you on a trip and my life is not like that. So, you know, I'm going to end my life. Like it's real. So we can't sit here and say it's not real. But I remember presenting that project, and honestly, there was only it was me and like 3 other Black girls in the class. But I remember, like, when I was presenting it, there was a white girl in the front row, and she was like looking, like her jaw was on the floor the entire time. Like, she was like, but like, how? And I'm like, this is a real thing. And the fact that, and that's the part where I say, like, a lot of this stuff is just between Black people. Yeah. Like, these other people, other races, they don't, unless they do. If they do somewhere, somebody drop it in the comments and let us know. But as far as I know, it's like
with colorism in other communities.
Say it again.
They do have issues with colorism in other communities in terms of like being lighter is preferred in some, like in Indian culture. I've heard that, but not to the extent that we do.
Not to the extent where there is studies on it. Not to the extent where it's like, you know, y'all know when Instagram first came out, I mean, yes, people still use filters and Photoshop and stuff, but not for nothing, but if I post a filtered picture, it don't be getting no likes the way it used to. Like, you know, the filter, I have to be a lighter skin. It has to look smooth. It has to be, you know what I'm saying? It's just completely different now. But I'll always remember doing that project, and like, just, of course, because I had to like what I'm doing. And of course I want to educate myself. But she was just sitting there and she looked like I was speaking another language, honestly. Like, it was kind of funny, but but I'm just like, no, this is real. And what I spoke about too is like from slavery, like, let's be clear, like the slavery gap, the slavery time and the gap from then between their Jim Crow, things that are still happening, laws that are still being passed in 2020, talking about that people can't discriminate against us against our hair. Something that's natural. This grows like this. It grows up. Like, how you gonna say I can't wear it like that to a job interview? You know what I'm saying? So like, and it's still, things are still happening. These conversations are still being had, which they should, which I'm never gonna stop talking about it. But you know, it's just, when you think about like the mentalities and different things like that, like I'm just like,
yeah. This reminds me of when Brown Skin Girl came out, that song of Beyonce, and Blackness.
Oh, girl, yes.
And I remember it became this whole argument about like who got to be the one to sing it. And like for some people, there was like, I remember it was like there were people out there saying like who it wasn't for.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, first of all, let's talk about the word brown. From an ethnic point of view, there's a reason why we say Black and brown people. Because from an ethnic standpoint, there are people who are like Indian or who are Hispanic, who are Middle Eastern, who consider themselves brown girls and may not be dark skinned, but they consider themselves brown girls because they're not white. So they say brown, especially in those communities, they are brown to their cultures. But in the Black communities, some people define brown as only being dark skinned. That's the only variation of brown. Now, when Beyonce made that, I truly believe it was to elevate and empower and address colorism, especially for our dark skinned beauties like Kelly Rowland and Lupita. Absolutely. Be at the forefront of this movement because, girl, this is your time and your crown to shine. But she also made it for every brown girl that identifies as being brown. I mean, Beyonce and her daughter herself.
I was about to say that. As light as Blue Ivy is, she was right there. She's on the track. I mean,
and let's be clear, brown ranges. That's another argument I've had with people where like to people, all they can see is dark skin and light skin. They don't realize we are a whole spectrum. Brown varies. There is dark brown all the way to light brown. If you pick up furniture,
right here. Brown varies right here.
Brown is really varying right here. Like brown, when I look at my hands, I see brown. Is it as brown as somebody else? No. And there may be a different undertone. There may be a different upper tone. Like brown literally varies. You go into a grocery store or a supermarket and you ask somebody, what's the color of this? They're going to say brown. And that brown may be the color of your friend, but it may not be the color of you, but it don't change the fact that it's still brown. It's just a different shade of brown. And so that really irritated me, that argument, because I'm like, who are y'all to say it's only for these people? Do I feel like this song should be the anthem for a certain group of people that have not had songs written about them? Absolutely. Yes, girls, take the front seat. I'll get the back. I have no problem because that's Black women empowerment. Realizing where my privilege stands and knowing that my face may have been on magazines a little bit longer than someone that looked like you. And so take your crown and your time to shine. But what you're not going to do is tell people that they can't embrace that song too.
Yeah, that's the annoying part. It's just, again, the theme in this is beyond the race and color. The question is like, who is to say? How you gonna tell me what I see in the mirror? How you gonna tell me what I see in the mirror?
That's the part. Because people's perspectives are different. Like, you know, like what's that? Remember that dress that went viral and like some people saw blue and the gold and the blue. I realized when our community, that's how skin tone is. Because I'll literally be in a room and people will look at one person and everybody will have a different perspective on what that person's color is because of the way they were raised. Yeah. Because of who they were around and what they saw. That truly defines how you see somebody. And then I was like, if we're having this argument because we all view somebody differently, maybe we should just embrace the fact that they're Black and not even get into all what shade or color they are.
It's too many, it's too much. Like and again, because of social media, like the downside of it, of course, is like, it's just too much. Everybody got an opinion. And some of the stuff, like there are some people that, and I know Monty don't get into it, but like the conspiracy theorists, but like there's people who really, that's what they do. Like I'm like a like low key one because I'll like get into it and I'll be like, but I'm not. It doesn't define me. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all know that. Like, but it's just so much conspiracies and this and that. Everybody's a millions of opinions, and then the fact that everybody gets so offended. Everything is so offensive. Like if certain things do not show us like how, I don't even know what the word to use is as a society, that we've become sensitive. I don't know, but like looking at like Netflix is bringing back a whole bunch of old shows like The Challenge. I watch The Challenge. I still watch it. I might be the only person who watches it, but there's like episodes on there that when I was watching it, maybe 10 or how many ever years ago, it was like, okay, like this is what's happening now. They have to remove episodes. Looking at episodes of Black Ink, looking at episodes of Teen Mama, I'm just like, this is so. I mean, I watched it, so I already know, but some of this stuff is so cringy now.
It's cringy
like
when you're older, and you know
it's cringy when we're older, and then when we know better.
Yep.
Like we know better, but some of it too, I'm just like, okay, are we gonna make this a thing too? Like it's everything can't be a thing. You can't enjoy nothing. You
like
can't
Kamala being the first.
Yeah, you can't enjoy nothing.
Enjoy that because it was like, well, is she really Black? And I'm like, really? We about to have this argument?
But you know what too? Like, and I when you put it and we're talking about it, I remember that from like I have done, if 2020, like that whole crazy year has not shown me anything, it's really turning off social media. Like, and letting myself enjoy, which is just kind of like take away a little bit, because I mean the jokes can't beat them. But I've really learned to like shut stuff off, especially last year, because and I think we've kind of talked about this before, as far as like don't ask me to educate you. Like I'm not. Honestly, this right here might be the most education you get out of me, because this is exhausting. Like it's good to be informative, but it's exhausting to just be able to not be able to say, okay, this Black woman in this place where we have never been, like we can't just enjoy it. We got to go into, well, is she really? Does she this? Is she that? Like y'all didn't question the 40 however many men that came before her. Yeah, nobody questioned that.
I don't feel, I mean, I know some people question Barack Obama, but I ain't gonna lie. Nobody goes as hard on men about defining their Blackness as they do women. Because Barack Obama, everybody's like, my president is Black. Now all of a sudden, is my vice president Black?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop it.
Stop it. Stop.
Cut it out.
Stop. Because and the thing is too, just being like women, like at least if just the three of us, like going out into the world and just not letting it. It's not allowed around me. Like it's just not allowed around me. And if you offend me, I'm gonna let you know, but you need to go figure it out. I'm not gonna, oh, I'm sorry, just educate me. No. I'm not. I'm sorry. I mean, as there is, Google exists. Google is, has served as an ally. I'm sorry. Go figure it out. Go figure it out.
Yeah. Well, don't go on Google, because then you're gonna see them think pieces that are just really should just not be think pieces. Like,
well, you gotta learn how to filter out your own stuff. So your problem is bigger than me needing to educate you. You need some common sense. I'm sorry, like I just can't.
And I know people would challenge people Blackness. Some people may argue like, oh, there's people who weren't claiming their Blackness before it was cool to be.
Oh, yes.
And that is true. But let's all be clear. I think a lot of us over the years have become woke in some category, one another. Let's not act like some of us didn't get perms to fit European stereotypes or standards. Let's not act like some of us still don't know Black history. I think everybody is reaching a certain level of wokeness, which we need to learn to embrace. Like even the natural hair community, it's like, you're not natural if you still straighten your hair.
Oh,
and it's or if you wear weave, or if you still want to throw on a weave or a wig, like unless you're wearing a fro 24/7, you're not natural. I'm like, why can't we embrace people of color and Black people specifically coming to a point of understanding about who we are, even the ones who at some point got away with trying to say they wasn't Black. Yes, let's call that out. Let's say wait a minute, 5 years ago you wasn't Black now. Let's talk about it. But then when they're at a place of realization and like trying to come into their own, like let's not try to isolate them and say, no, you can't be Black, unless you claim Blackness. I don't like stuff like that.
You know what else too? Like, a lot of us, like you said, a lot of us don't know Black history and stuff. A lot of our history and stuff was stripped. Like, I don't care how long ago it was, like we're still learning things. And more so now, like even like, as influencers, like trying to figure out Black history coming up, I'm trying to figure out where do I focus? Because there's so much Black history happening right now. Like there's still so many firsts that are happening right this moment that I'm like, do I go backwards? Do I go forward? Do I do both? Like, I don't know where to stay. I don't know where to go. And to me, I'm happy. It's a problem I'm happy to have, but I'm not happy about why I have it. I'm not happy because it was stripped away from me. Like we was chilling and then now we're like, and then, you don't even know where you came from. You damn right. You damn right. I don't know. You're damn right. I don't know where I came from, and I'm learning. I'm open. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to see, like, because I want to know. I want to be educated. See, that's why the part I said, like, educate me. No, educate yourself, because it's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
I also think it's important to educate and change the narrative, because if you're not educating, then you're just leaving it there for them to interpret it in their own way, which is not helping them at all. So I don't know.
that's true.
This
That's
is true.
Because if you educate yourself, like I learned a couple years ago how genetics works and how somebody can have two Black parents, but then like maybe a great grandfather was white and had red hair. And then next thing you know, it done skipped all the generations, and next thing you know, boom, your child is born with freckles, light skin, and red hair.
That happened to what's his name? RL from Next.
I always use them as an example. I always use their kid as an example.
Girl is
she
has orange hair, like she's so beautiful, but for her parents and freckles, like I'm like, both her parents are brown, but it's just like wow, like
yeah, like you would
amazing.
And that's why I tell people, like, even like there's a congressman who for the longest time I could not figure out if he was just a pro-Black white man or Black. And then I did my research on him. His daughter is Valisha. I think y'all know who I'm talking about. I forgot his name. It's like RKRG. It's like initials and then a last name. And I'm really embarrassed not to know his name right now, but it's slipping my mind. But I know who he is. But he looks like a white man. But he's Black. Like both his parents are Black. He grew up around Black people. He was in Jack and Jill, like as a kid. The kids in Jack and Jill. But looking at him, he is white passing. And there are a lot of civil rights leaders that were white passing. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't like acknowledge like what that means. Like we should absolutely say like, okay, some white passing civil rights leaders were more elevated than those who weren't. Agreed. But I think like this need to like take away people's Blackness because of what they look like, or because of what if they went to HBCU or not, or if their parents were from the islands, or we got to stop trying to strip people of their Blackness. We have to stop doing that because it's disgusting.
Yeah, and again, it's exhausting. It's exhausting on top of already being.
Yeah, especially because up north, you may have dealt with colorism in terms of your friend group, like being the darker of your friend group and your friends not really understanding what it's like to be a dark-skinned beauty. But down south, somebody may be mixed, right? Biracial. But actually I've seen this before. It was like a little boy that was like attacked for being Black, but he was biracial, and he, you could tell that he had a mixture or something in him. And I'm like, so when I hear people make arguments about like, oh, if you're biracial, you're not Black, or if you light skin, you don't really know what it's like to be Black. You don't know what it's like to be Black in every state, boo-boo, because while up here you saying that, and don't get me wrong, your experience with being called whatever nicknames you were called in school by the little ignorant boys and girls was horrible. Yes. At the same time you was going through that, there was a mixed race boy who you say is not Black being attacked and physically down south for being Black.
Yep.
So we need to stop defining that, because people in other parts of the country are being attacked who may look different than you.
Right.
For their race, and you got the audacity to say that they're not Black. That's disrespectful.
It's straight up ignorance, but that's what ignorance is. It's going by the idea that my experience is the only one in the room. What I've been through is like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just, I can't even have, and that's part of why I say, like, when I say I'm not educating, is because you can't even have a mindset like that. Like if you're trying to have a conversation with me and that's your way of thinking, we're done. We done before we even start, because I can't make you, and that's really just me. And it's not me like being mean or nasty. It's me meeting people where they are. Like I have to meet you where you are. I have to meet you in a place where you are, which is saying my experience, my Black experience, me being called these names, me getting over it, me, saying whatever, is the only thing that exists in the entire world, as opposed to my experience where I've maybe never had that, so, and you know what's funny? Me and Imani talk about that because of our experience at our college. Imani's experience was completely different. And when I tell you this is a year removed, when I graduated, after I left, Imani started as a freshman. That's like a little 4-year gap. And it ain't little, because when we talk about it, you would have sworn we went to 2 different schools, honestly. When you talk
about dealing with racism and stuff on campus, and Kiana's like, I don't remember that.
And it's like, I remember seeing it on social media, and I'm like, yeah, almost like, yikes, like, wait, did I miss something? You start going back in your mind, like, no, I really don't. I felt it was fun. Like my experience, I didn't have this experience, you know. And then talking to Imani, she's like, no, like this, and I'm like I'm like shocked, and but not ignorantly, like, no, girl, it couldn't be the same school. Like I went there, da 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 da. Like no, like I recognize that this is her experience. I stand by her, duh. Like, you know, but by standing by her, it's not saying that I hate this place or I hate my memories. It's just different. It's just different. But I can stand by her and say, like, you know what, girl, I'm sorry that you went through that. Because it's not that I haven't gone through it, I just haven't gone through it in this place. You know, our experiences are just different. So it's being able to just look at each other and say, like, well, you can't feel this way because you lighter than me, and what you mean, and your experience is your experience.
Yeah, because I got called a nigga on that campus and told I was gonna get lynched.
See, and for me, that was like, I'm like, what? Like, yikes.
Yeah, because I'm Black. Like,
right. Bottom line, because I'm Black.
Bottom line, because I'm Black. It had nothing to do with anything else besides the fact I'm Black, and we had two totally different experiences.
Completely.
So it's ridiculous that we're even still having this argument and debate, but in 2021. But I just really, you know, hope that Black people can have an open mind and say, you know what, there are some biases I have and some toxic thoughts that I've had or things that I've been comfortable in saying and doing that need to be removed if I'm really about to be a part of this whole elevating Black girl magic, Black boy joy movement. If you're really about it, be okay with checking yourself.
That's the thing, though. People have a problem. Here we go with some of the therapy things that I teach. But if you are not able to identify certain things, it cannot be addressed. If like, you don't identify, like I be telling my clients all the time, the fact some sessions are literally just about identifying the problem. Literally, you could spend an hour on that. Like it's one, but once you do that and you do it without judgment, that's another issue. People see it and they're like, oh, well, because I thought, you know, this way before, that makes me a bad person. It does not, it makes you a person who makes mistakes, who did not know any better. That's what it makes you, period. Like, but everybody wants to put judgment on it. Oh, they this, they that. Like, I mean, in this society, like that's what we do. Literally, you go on any blog site, you see something posted, if you just so happen to open, you can go in the comments. I bet you're gonna see, I'm gonna be back when the comments get better. Not because they're like, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I don't write that, but I do be coming back. But you know, you go back because you know it's gonna be some ignorance, right? But even that being said, recognizing it is not the issue. Recognizing it and acting like you don't know is the issue. That's what makes you ignorant.
Or you don't care, like, which brings us to our next point. What's her name? Danny Lee. What's
Danny Lee. Lord have mercy.
Yellow. What's the song? Is it yellow bone, red bone? What's the song?
Light skin baddie.
I don't know who that is.
Honestly, it's
like, I don't know who that is. Yo, each of be cracking me up because each be like, I don't know these people.
Who that is.
Sorry to this man.
I'm sorry to this man. I don't know who this man is. He could be walking down the street.
Should I know who this person is? Is
that
that's worthy of me?
So Danny is, you know the song. She has, you probably know the song, My Little Baby.
Oh yeah.
That's who it is.
Sing I don't know what that is. My Little Baby.
Okay, well, she's not very good. She's not a very good artist. But my thing with her, she just and it's not really her. Well, yes, it is, but I had to unfollow. I told you I had to unfollow that one blog site because when her and Blvd got together, they literally were posting everything that they were posting. I'm like, I don't follow these people because I don't want to see them, and they're everywhere. But you know, she came out with some song, Light Skin Baddie, and people are attacking her. The baby's mother of the baby's children are attacking her, saying like, do you realize that the man that you're with now is dark skinned with dark skinned children and a dark skinned mother and all this kind of stuff? But it's the same. It's so exhausting. Like she's trying to defend, and then somebody
you can't defend that.
But did you see the tweet that came out where the girl was like, in 5th grade, she called me a gorilla? It's not funny. Yeah. But the fact that this girl came out, she's like, in 5th grade. And I'm like, for real? See? And just stop. Just like, come on. I want to say, again, if we can't, like, where is it going to end?
But I do have an issue with the song. I do have
no,
an issue.
no, not the song, not the song. I'm talking about this girl talking about in the 5th grade. Yeah. I'm talking about 5th grade.
I mean, I think, okay, so in my opinion, I think it adds context to the conversation, because I think when people are trying to say like, it's just a song, it does help to hear somebody say like, no, it's not just a song, it's how she feels. Because
really going back to the 5th grade?
Good, yes, because it adds context.
I think that's right.
It adds context, because to me, and this is where I talk about privilege. And this is my issue with also Black people. We don't think we have privilege. We have light skin, for lack of a better term, privilege. We have pretty girl privilege. That's the thing too.
Yeah.
Or pretty boy, whatever. We have certain privileges in our own. For those of us who don't identify as LGBTQIA, there's a privilege being straight. Like, we have privileges as well. And here's, she's very light skinned. I don't know if she has a mixture in her, but she, her hair is of a certain curl pattern. You have a level of privilege and within your own community. Historically, you've had a level of privilege. And when I say privilege, not meaning she gets more advantages, but society at one point deemed her more beautiful because of the way. And so why would you make a song like that? Like Yellow, Light Skin, whatever the song is, Baddie. I think it's in poor taste, and it's like, read the room.
Yeah.
And check your
privilege. You don't know how to do, but we see that. But see, and this is the thing. I do, and again, I've had my own transition, like just really stepping away from social media and holding these celebrities and stuff to a higher standard. I really don't hold them to any standard, because they people just like us. They just got more followers. They might have a talent and then not to downplay anybody's talents or whatever the case. But after last year, looking at people say things about not wearing masks when the people are dropping like flies still from this pandemic, like, I'm just like, you know what? I have to turn it off. And I get, just because I turned it off don't mean that it's still not happening. But it's just, I guess it's just changed my perspective. Like, the same way we talk about us, like when we was in 5th grade thinking and or agreeing or having to go through these things, I'm not holding trial for somebody who called me a monkey in 5th grade. Whether they made a song calling light-skinned baddies or whatever, I'm just not. Now, within the last year or two, with the way that things have been, where you have had information, you have had documentaries, you have had things come out like about Black culture, and even conversations like we're having right now. After that, now, if you still, now we got a problem. Now I'm gonna hold you on trial for that. But 5th grade, now come on, like, no.
What you think? What you think about her making a song, knowing what she looked like, and calling a girl the monkey in the 5th grade?
I feel like it's relevant going back, because if she said it once, she could have said it plenty of times in between then.
But this is the thing. Have we not all though? Like, wait. Have we not all said things, but this person, people on the other side, like we would be
back with this song though.
It's a song.
I understand. I understand. Oh. I got y'all. I got it. I don't agree with the song. I don't agree with the song, especially her being her hue and stuff. But it's the 5th grade thing. I can't get it. When I saw that, I was so annoyed. I was like, girl, like, I know it's your time to tell your story, but like,
come on.
Come on.
Okay, now here's how I feel when we go back. And if she had not made the song and somebody brought it up, then I would say, girl, stop it. Because people do that all the time when people, when it bothers me, because I'm like, we need to add context to the fact that back then, certain things were more okay than they are now. But my only issue is when things get brought up from the past, people are like, so what? Oh, well, like, no, address it. Say like, okay, I did do that. I apologize. I've since changed, like, da-da.
Things, I'm sorry, like, how old are you in 5th grade? Like 10? I'm 31. I'm not explaining my 10-year-old self, because I don't even remember. I'm not, that's what I'm saying. I'm not. I'm barely explaining.
Go ahead. 31 and you're making a song like that, then maybe you do need to explain your 10-year-old self.
I'm not explaining my 10-year-old self in any context. Sometimes I still reflect on my 20s. I still reflect on turning 20 10 years ago, the crap I used to be doing. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. You want me to go back another decade? I'm sorry. I agree with y'all 100%. She should not have made the song, because, I mean, again, read the room, which again, a lot of these people, they don't care to. I'm sorry. It's no way with the way that social media is that you don't know how. I refuse to think that you do not know how to read the room. That I'm not even. We're not even gonna go there. You can see it. You are making a decision. But my 10-year-old self is not a part of the conversation. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Leave 10-year-old Kiana out of it.
Leave 10-year-old Kiana out of it, because I'm gonna tell you something. 20-year-old Kiana and 31-year-old Kiana is not the same. 30-year-old Kiana and 31-year-old. Hello, I mean, like, we're not the same.
Look at how a difference a year makes. Well, a year ago you had a perm.
Look at me, literally. Look at me a year ago. I had just dyed my hair blonde. I had just cut my hair again after the wedding. Like, and then after that, 2 months later, or how many ever months later, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna cut it all off and start over. Y'all know me. Y'all know me. Especially Egypt. Me and Egypt have these hair conversations all the time. I could never have imagined myself wearing my natural hair and waking up every day and being like, yes, bro, hello. Y'all know I'll be sending y'all pictures, any little bit of growth that I got.
Oh, natural.
I remember when people started slowly going natural, like even within like our chapter and our friend group. I mean, I had been natural for a while. Like I've been natural since I was 14. That was the last time I had a perm in my head. But people were going natural, and Kiana was like, no, I need my perms. Like, no. You see the shortcut? No, I ain't doing it. No. And now look.
Hello?
That's a growth.
Hey, look at her. My hair grows up, honey. Listen, when it gets a little longer, I got captions, okay? Like, y'all know, anytime I do that with my hair, I'll be sending it in the group chat. I'll be like, y'all, look at it. It'd be like this much growth. Look at it. Like, and so, no, I'm sorry. Like, I can't even say even me from a year ago can't go on trial, because that's a year ago. But 10-year-old me, y'all gonna leave her out of it. She ain't even go through yet. She ain't go through none of this stuff yet. No, I'm sorry. I'm not. That's the only part I disagree with. But absolutely, with the songs and the music, and Brown Skin Girl is uplifting a community that has been looked down upon.
Right? That identifies as brown, because this identifies brown.
But I'm just saying the song, like, in comparison, like, because that's the thing, like, oh, well, brown skin girl this and light skin this, that. She's not saying, she's uplifting a community that has been literally called gorillas. You see what I'm saying? Like, been compared to and thought of less than. But in her song, and the snippet that I did hear, she's like, daddy. It's just, she's not even a musical person anyway, to be.
And brown skin, as we just talked about, different people identify with brown skin girl.
Right.
Well, light skin baddie, there's only a certain demographic that's gonna, and that demographic has benefited from certain privileges. And I think that's where you also got, like, that's like white people all, doing like white lives matter. No. That you have a privilege. Like, I forgot what the term is when you're like up here. Not that light skin people are more superior to dark skin people, but when society has placed you on a certain level, and then somebody else and placed another group on a certain level, and that group wants to create movements or songs or whatever that's gonna lift them to be up here, you don't then say, like, let me give me something. Like, it's not the same. It's just not.
Agreed. And that's the point I'm making. It's just not the same.
And again, Brown Skin Girl was encompassing of Black women, period. Because again, Beyonce clearly is not the color of Kelly Rowland and Lupita. But that song was for her and her daughter as well. Did it have the same sting as it would for someone like Lupita or someone that looks like Kelly Rowland? Probably not, because they've been through more in society. And it's okay to say that. They've been through more. Let's talk about it.
And not even the part where it's society, but within yourself. Like, again, how are you going to tell me what I see in the mirror?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't. Listen, my skin color, I've never really battled. Like, I never really, like, these are things now, again, like, me and Imani having different experiences going to the same exact school, like, with the same staff. Okay, but
about that. There's people that went to that school that back then, when I was saying it's racist, were like, no, it's not. But then now, when everything was happening with like addressing Wesleyan's issues, all of a sudden they had all these racial stories. I'm like, where was they before?
Yeah,
that's a disclaimer. I hope y'all are watching. You can see I'm talking about you. Go ahead.
But part of it is education. Like, Imani knows. Like, I'll be calling her because I really be wanting to be. If anybody, like, if Imani is the one that you call, like, when you're trying to be educated, like, Okay, sometimes I don't agree. Like she'll teach me and I'll be like, no.
Like the gorilla comment, no. We need to get over it.
I mean, sorry, like I'm just not gonna do that. But just like, again, you can't tell me what I see in the mirror. And my experience is everybody deals with things differently. Like me, people growing up calling me ugly. I mean, I was kind of bullied when I was growing up, so it really didn't phase me. Like I was like, okay, and your mother, like, you know, I'm from New York, like that's what we say. Like I didn't internalize it. Like I never thought I was ugly growing up. That's not the same for another brown girl who, if somebody called you that, you would go home and cry. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't have that experience. So because I didn't have that experience and I understand that other people have, what I'm going to do is make sure that, of course, I'm not going to tell people, say your mother, but I'm going to say like, no, you are beautiful. Stand in your own stuff, because I don't understand what it's like to cry in front of the mirror, you know what I'm saying? Because of my skin color, because of something that I cannot help, something that I didn't ask for. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just different.
Yeah.
Like my little Black girl clients, y'all better watch out for them, okay? Y'all better watch out for them. That's all I'm going to say.
Look, so Danny Lee is canceled.
She is. I mean, but was she even there to begin with? Like, no. But anywho, ladies, what are our takeaways? What are our takeaways from this ongoing conversation that this is not the end of?
It does not end here.
It does not end here. It's just Shade Boulevard's rendition.
Maybe we should have like an event or something virtually, like where we have an open conversation of like a really diverse group of Black women, like really diverse, like not just in like looks, but like interests, like the ones who liked anime growing up versus the ones who
I liked anime growing up.
See?
I liked anime growing up.
Or the ones who watch Dawson's Creek instead of watching Moesha. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a Black girl that can relate to every spectrum of who we are. And that conversation, I think, will open up people's eyes. Like when you judge other Black people for their experiences or what they look like, maybe it opens you up to like, damn, there's a lot more different types of Black people than I thought they was.
I agree.
This all stems back to my favorite saying: mind your business. Why do you care about the color of my skin?
Mind your blackness.
My hair. Why? Yeah. I'm not affecting you. I'm not doing nothing to your family. I'm not hurting you. I'm not taking your money. I'm not messing with your soul, your spirit. I was born this way, and this is who I am.
But that, for real, mind your business, it really would, if everybody would have minded their business like some years ago, hundreds of years ago, none of this conversation would be happening.
We still be in Africa.
We I mean, for real, like literally mind your business.
For real, like
I realized that last year. I realized that
on top of
seriously. I realized that last year, like when, you know, white people that I was like around after like the whole like the movement that was I can't say the movement, like part 2 or 3, I don't even know what number part of Black Lives Matter movement we're on at this point. But when people like were feeling the need to like apologize to me or like stuff like that, I'm just like, I'm literally just sitting here. Like it's already, not that it, like I recognize like I'm the only Black woman, Black person in the room, and I'm over it now. Like it's not awkward for me. But what's awkward for me now is where I have to take on your feelings about maybe your ignorance. No, I don't got space for that. I don't have space for that. I don't have time for that. Keep it to yourself. Go talk to somebody else about it. Don't talk to Kiana about it because you're going to get your feelings hurt. Sorry.
Okay.
Like, I'm not. My takeaway is you can't tell me what I see in the mirror, period.
I'm about to piggyback off that takeaway because people love telling me who and what I am. And let me tell you, I am Black with a K, honey. But my takeaway is that while slavery was horrible, it was absolutely horrible, it created so much beautiful diversity within Black people. We're all over the world.
Yes.
And so I just hope that, you know, we continue to embrace the differences within our community and elevate each other. And instead of bringing each other down when we want to address issues, I think we should say, like, it's nice that Kamala is the first, VP. Now let's see if we can get someone that is of a darker hue beauty to be in a leadership role in this country. And I was like, you know what, sis? Let's make that happen together.
Right.
Boom.
Period. Oh wait, your takeaway is mind your business.
Say mind your blackness, because in this episode, it's mind your blackness.
Mind your blackness. Okay. Because it's beautiful, honey, but it's kind of dangerous, but it's kind of lit.
It's lit being black. Like, we need to, I know it sounds so cliche, but we need to stick together. Like, there's not many of us. We dying in record numbers from COVID, police brutality, and other sorts of diabetes, other pre-existing conditions. We ain't got a lot of us left, and we try to kick people out the group. Come on. Like, no, we need all we could get, especially when the apocalypse or the revolution or whatever big event's gonna happen that we need to be on for. We need to be unified.
Rapture.
Whatever, the rapture, Jesus coming to take me, so I'm bye. But but whatever big things happening, we need all we can get. So I don't care if your great grandfather was Jewish. Come on, yeah, let's go.
All right, ladies. Well, that was very informative. I feel like that's one of our more serious topics, but it's necessary.
It was so necessary, and I do hope that people engage in conversation respectfully and in a healthy way, of course, because this is open dialogue, and I hope people took something from what we talked about, but also had something to contribute to this conversation as well.
All right, till next time.
Bye.